I'm not going to tackle Trump from a political perspective because we've talked about all of the Epstein lists and everything like that. But Trump has recently signed legislation cracking down on drugs and fentanyl. But before we get to the drugs and the fentanyl, we actually have to address, why does this do this every day? Oh, it's because I was doing a review differently. Before we get to the drugs and the fentanyl, we have to address what's going on in Baltimore. Now, and I anticipated following up on what was happening in Baltimore because we know that they did at least that they know of, 27 overdoses. This is currently what's happening in Baltimore, y'all.
We're following tonight. A mass overdose in the Penn North community sent at least 27 people to the hospital last week. And while authorities continue to investigate, we are now hearing from one of the victims for the first time.
And at the same time, drug recovery organizations are working to make sure the community is aware that help is available.
And Anton Daniels has been covering this story from the beginning, joining us now in studio with more about one of these victims. Anton.
Hey there, good evening to you guys. Over the weekend, our media partner, the Baltimore Banner, spoke with a woman in her 60s who recalls her Thursday morning buying heroin and then being given a sample or tester of that bad batch of drugs. It was 5 hours later, this woman was found barely clinging to life on a nearby playground.
It's a double-edged sword because, that same exact day we had harm reduction there, and they were actually passing out tester, kits and clean syringes and for, drug abusers.
Harm reduction was already too late last Thursday morning for 27 people who were hospitalized after receiving a bad.
How do y'all feel about the idea that there's these organizations that pass out clean needles and, testers and all of that type of stuff? It's a conversation that's ongoing for years, but a lot of people will make the argument and say, they enabling the behavior and all of this stuff, and then the people on the other side of the argument that pass out the needles say, well, we're doing preventative in order to prevent people from getting diseases from using old needles and all of that stuff. So it's a double-edged sword about that.
Batch of drugs. Sapna Benzel, with our media partner, the Baltimore Banner, talked anonymously with the woman in her 60s who was released from the hospital Saturday. Benzel wrote in part, around 9 a.m. Thursday, she was looking to buy heroin on North Avenue when she ran into dealers whose drugs she previously enjoyed. She purchased a pill from them for $3 and also received a free sample known as a tester. She said,
"That's how much pills going for nowadays?" Whew. They selling y'all individual pills like Lucy's at the gas station. They selling y'all individual pills like Lucy's. They selling pills for $3. Is that what you can get a pill for nowadays? It's crazy out here in these streets, bro.
That she broke off a piece of one pill smaller than the head of a match, snorted it through a straw, and slipped the rest into her pocket as she approached the busy intersection at North and Pennsylvania Avenues. It was within minutes the woman began to feel dizzy and noticed herself high-stepping, as if losing connection with the ground beneath her feet. She worried she might pass out in the street and get hit by a car. She got herself safely to a playground around the corner and collapsed.
Y'all know what high-stepping is, right? Y'all know what high stepping is, right? Everybody know what high stepping is? Y'all ever seen them people that feel it look like, that they trying to catch their feet, but they not really catching their feet? Y'all know what high stepping is. It's when a person, they walk like this. And you be like, what's wrong with... That's a high stepper. It looked like they don't know where the ground is at. It looked like they don't know where the ground is at. Y'all ain't never seen nobody trying to find the ground that's beneath them. That's high stepping. Because they trying to catch their balance and they trying to find the ground, but it's right up under them, but they don't know where it's at. That's high stepping. That's high stepping. That's what it is.
This photo from the banner shows the hospital residue on her arm from IVs and tape. The woman was found 5 hours after she took the drugs, unconscious on that playground before being transported to Johns Hopkins Hospital.
And it was like they responded to a crisis, which was great. But I would love to see that more often, not just because an incident happened.
We talked with Crystal Dayton, a community resource specialist, on the day of the mass overdose. She and her team are stepping up to quell community concerns about the drug problems at Penn North. She says it starts by meeting people where they are.
Implement more programming outside, like designate a corner where it's normally like that subway. Maybe we could have some meetings or activities there, because you're not going to have drug activity in a therapeutic, incident right there.
Now, as far as that overdose victim in her 60s, the banner also reports that she went into cardiac arrest and had to receive multiple doses of Narcan. She is seeking treatment now for the first time in 15 years. A lot of people in the Penn North community hoping that help continues beyond last week's mass overdose.
And you know what the funny part about this is that they've actually arrested 5 dealers. Think about that for a second, y'all. They've arrested 5 dealers. Now, to me, that means that they've always known who the people were that were selling drugs in the community. And that's what I always communicate to you guys. If we really wanted to fix our communities, we know how. And I ain't just talking about the black community. I'm talking about the white communities. We know how, because we know who the users are, and we know who the dealers are, and we know who the people that are distributing the testers, and we know who the runners are, and we know who the gun guys are, and we know who the shooters are, and we know who the kids that's gonna wind up becoming the bad kids when they get older, and they're gonna take the place of the ones that's doing all of the wrong stuff. We know who the people are in our community, so the police, they then raid everything, right? They go and arrest the 5 dealers. 5 of the dealers, not even the distributors, they go and arrest the dealers. And the first thing that came to my mind is, well, why wasn't they arresting the dealers prior to everybody getting a bad batch of Fenty? How come the dealers wasn't arrested if y'all already knew who they were? How come the dealers wasn't arrested prior to? Because they already know who they are. And I believe that it's a lot of people that's probably in on it. And so they have no interest in arresting the dealers. It's really an economy of itself. Miami, take Miami, for example. It is a hard argument that you can make that Miami is not even a city that was built off of real economic activity. Miami was built at a time where everything in America and the city itself was financially depressed and collapsed. Miami was largely built off of dope money. The city of Miami, the foundation of it, and the same way that Vegas was built off of the mob, Miami, you can make an argument, was economic activity and a financial boom for the drug industry, and that is how it became what it is today. Of course, corporate is always going to take over. Of course, after they rid themselves of the people that built the city, the drug dealers and the mob that do it. But 100%, Miami is cocaine city, baby. That's all it is. The underpinnings of all of these places is America, for God's sakes. When we cleanse it after we build it, it's a different animal, right? But somebody had to sacrifice. Somebody had to go down. You had to have a whole lot of fiends in order to have great dealers. America. Before it was land of the free, home of the brave, had to go and fight some people for this mug. People got tired of paying taxes with no land ownership, and so they defected over to America, and then they seen some people that was less than hospitable, and they said, listen, man, we need this land. You want that land, and we coming over here to take it. And so that's where war start. This is my land too now, homie. I can't go back home. I can't go home. I can't. Then that's when we start labeling it as freedom. We freedom, because they seeking freedom from where they came, because they want ownership, but they don't have any ownership, but they got to still pay taxes on it. And so they all defect over here, and then it became a fight for freedom. The natives here was fighting for the freedom to continue to get these people off of the land, and the people that was leaving wanted freedom to be able to live the way that they wanted to live. And then once they conquered this land, right, throughout the wars and throughout the years, as the wars evolved, it became a war to build up this land. And that's when you had the transatlantic slave trade, and then we had to make sure that somebody had to suffer. Somebody got to get this mug, right? Somebody got to get the bad end of the stick. That's 3/4 of a man, 2/3 of a man. And then in order to weaken the South, they had to free the slaves. And so you got some benefits along with some financial incentives to do so, because everything is capitalistic. And so we had to, and then in the midst of you getting your freedom, you lost the plot. History of the world 101 right there. History of the world 101. But we all know what we're doing. But all of these environments and industries, this country, Miami, Vegas, everything that we have was all built on the backs of something else. And then we cleansed it and we made it nice. We tried to rewrite history a little bit, and we tried to make it nice so that we'll have a good conscience, or we'll feel good about where we live. Oh man, come down to Miami. Then we seen black women twerking on it, and we said we had black fatigue right after that.
So President Trump is speaking right now at the White House. He is going to sign this Halt Fentanyl Act. Let's watch.
It doesn't sound like much. It's a big deal, as they will tell you, meaning anyone caught trafficking these illicit poisons will be punished with a mandatory 10-year minimum sentence in prison. We'll be getting the drug dealers, pushers, and peddlers off our street, and we will not rest until we have ended the drug overdose epidemic. And it's been getting a little bit better, but it's horrible. It's horrible. We're going to end it once and for all. And we're pleased to be joined on this occasion by my future DEA administrator. He's going to be a very important position, Terry Cole. Where's Terry Cole? Hello, Terry Cole. I hope you're as good as they say, Terry. I hope you're as good as Glenn Youngkin says, because it was his recommendation that got you this job. You better do a good job, or I'm blaming Glenn. Glenn, I'm going to blame you if he's no good. And who the hell knows, but I have a feeling he's going to be great. Is he that good? All right, good. You better be good.
Most people, most executive CEOs, that's why it's important to have relationships, because most of the jobs, whether you become president of the United States of America and you start to hire people under you, or you're a CEO of a company and you start to hire people under you, it's impossible for these people to vet everybody that's around them. So what happens is that they depend on other people that they trust to make recommendations to do great jobs. That's why it's important for you to network. That's why it's important for you to get in certain circles, because you're not visible unless you then get a recommendation from somebody that invites you into the club. Most things in life are members only. Most things in life is members only. When I was thinking about, oh man, I'm thinking about redoing my studio. I got $100,000 budget. Carrie was like, I know a girl. I was like, you like her? I never knew her. Never seen her work, never cared what she did before, but I trusted Carrie. Why? Because Carrie is a person that is close to me and is tight with me, and Carrie has never led me to believe that she wants anything except for the best for me. So it made my job easier because I got 1,000 things going on. I'm not about to sit here and try to figure out whether or not you're any good or not. Carrie, you know her? Yep. Yeah, Anton, I work with. Don't even say no more. I bet. She came through. Hey, Carrie said that she know you. She said that you're a good person. Oh yeah, I'm great at what? Okay, cool. Give me a timeline. Give me a budget. Just send me X amount of dollars. I have it done. Don't even, you just come back in 3 months. All right, cool. Sent her the money, came back. Oh man, she did a great job. End of the conversation. That most things are based off of, when you get to a certain level, is based off of who you know and great recommendations and who you trust. And that's what Trump is basically teaching. It's so many lessons in all of these things that we look at on a regular basis.
But it was really, Glenn has had tremendous experience with Terry, and he said he's fantastic. He did the job like nobody that you've seen, and we take your word for it. Thank you very much, Glenn. Also with us is Secretary Kristi Noem, who's doing a fantastic job. Where's Kristi? Where are you? Kristi. Hi, Kristi. She is doing a great job with Tom Homan, who's fantastic. He's also central casting. He does serve the central casting role, too, doesn't he? And he's a great guy. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. Steve, thank you very much. Thank you. Good job.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
So, anyways, Trump is signing a bill that basically tackles and addresses the fentanyl crisis, such as what you're seeing over in Baltimore. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.